13 years of Tenmu. What if flowers sticky festival? There were beautiful girls everywhere along the way, carrying flower baskets and scattering flower petals. They believe that as long as the flowers are scattered on whomever they want, they will be lucky and happy. A bit like a modern Songkran festival. Lu Wushuang arranged her clothes. She was also wearing the same thin gauze skirt as the ordinary flower sprinkling girl, and she was holding a flower basket in her hand. The difference was that the blush on her face could scare people to death. There is no way who told her not to know how to disguise herself. He could only wander along the crowd at the city gate, staring at the soldiers passing by at the city gate, looking for opportunities. Looking at the large trucks at the door, every item was picked out for inspection, which made her heart feel cold again. In the past, it was not so strict. What happened today? Have you discovered that I am going to escape from Qi State? Lu Wushuang sighed deeply. Since she traveled across time and came to this country 3 years ago, her experiences can be written into a novel as bloody as she wants. Now a fugitive, she felt tired and loveless. It seems that we can only use the old method. The original owner's body is capable of martial arts. Every time when we passed the border, if the officers and soldiers who checked had trouble, then we could only use that method to solve it. At this moment, a luxurious carriage came down the street. The entire carriage was wrapped in flowers and drove towards the city gate. This is Wushuang's goal today. After asking around here for a few days, I found out that every year the city lord's wife would choose today to go to the countryside to pray at a temple. She hurried to the carriage with the flower basket, knocked off the axle of the carriage, and fell to the ground with an ouch, and the flowers in the basket were scattered all over the floor. Stop. As expected, a female voice came from the carriage, gentle and beautiful. Wushuang curled up the corner of his mouth, smiled secretly, and turned into the weak woman with a sad face. In order to escape, Lu Wushuang actually used modern porcelain methods, but how effective would it be if used on ancient people? There were too many people on the street today, so when Wushuang cried out in pain, there was already a circle of people watching the show. The driver quickly jumped out and asked nervously, "Girl, are you okay?" Lu Wushuang didn't say anything but screamed in pain. The nervous man looked at the car and then at Wushuang on the ground, wondering what to do. In the meantime, the woman in the carriage said intermittently, "Girl, come on up. I will take you to find Master Huijing outside the city to help you." Lu Wushuang was so happy that he could not express it in words, but on the surface he climbed into the carriage in great pain. I didn't expect it to go so smoothly. Did God open his eyes? Just open the curtain of the carriage? No. There is a slight smell of blood. She just wanted to retreat quickly, but it was too late. She was grabbed by her collar by a big hand and pulled into the carriage. But in the eyes of outsiders, it was because the little girl was injured and threw herself weakly into the carriage. The light in the carriage was a little dark. After Wushuang was caught, a cold dagger was pressed against her neck. She glanced at the dagger on her neck, and a thick dagger fell from her face, choking Wushuang and coughing twice. The hand holding the dagger is a man's hand, but there is clearly a woman in the carriage. What's going on? Wushuang raised his head and looked to the opposite side. A woman was sitting stiffly in the middle after her acupoints were tapped. At this moment, she was looking at Wushuang with pear blossoms in the rain. The man holding the dagger was behind her. He had an extraordinary handsome appearance. At this moment, he looked at Wushuang with a half smile. The smell of blood came from his chest, and it seemed that he was injured. Wushuang said in surprise, You, who are you?" The man smiled and said, "Girl, since you're here, you don't have to leave. It's also good to be with my wife." "For company? On the road to Huangquan?" "Don't want." Wushuang pretended to be trembling, trying to hold back a few tears to gain sympathy. "Don't cry. If you cry, I won't mind digging out your eyes," the man said quietly, and he gestured with Wushuang with his dagger. "Besides, I hate fake tears even more." "Bitch," Wushuang cursed. "Right now." "Stop." The soldier stopped him for routine questioning. He has already arrived at the city gate. Wu Shuang's heart tightened, and she looked at the man in front of her. He was seen lazily leaning on the mat, his black stone eyes penetrating your heart. He calmly said to the woman who tapped the acupuncture point, "You know how to do it, right?" 2. Chapter 2. Go home and ask Mom. The woman opposite nodded hurriedly, tears welling up in her eyes, but she didn't dare to fall. At this time, I heard the coachman say, "This is the wife of the city lord, so there is no need to check." As soon as the soldier heard that she was the wife of the city lord, and then thought about the rumors that the city lord loved his wife, he cautiously stepped forward and asked, "Madam, where are you going?" "Every year during the Sticky Flower Festival, I go to Sister Jingwei's place outside the city to pray for blessings and burn incense." "What? You have to take care of this too." The last sentence was said in a slightly provocative and angry tone. The mysterious man had rehearsed every word she was going to say before getting on the carriage. Even the intonation must not be wrong, otherwise he would kill her. At this moment, she hoped that some of the soldiers would hear something, but to her disappointment, the soldiers immediately stepped back and let her go after hearing her words. This made her break into cold sweats from the fright of what happened after leaving the city, because the man before was very injured and his chest rested on the lady's back. The bloody smell of this carriage became even more intense. Why is there the smell of blood? Wait! When he was about to leave the city, suddenly, a soldier behind him shouted loudly after smelling something. There was an excited look on the lady's face, and when she saw the man's cold and heavy eyes, it was as if a basin of cold water had been poured on her, and she instantly felt painful. Wu Shuang looked at the man in front of her. She had already guessed that this guy must have been injured and had difficulty moving, so he came up with such a way to get out of the city. His identity would definitely not be simple. The problem was that if his identity was discovered, it would be no joke. After she made her decision, the moment the soldier lifted up the curtain, she slammed the man who was about to kill him out of the carriage into behind the lady. She lifted up the carriage curtain one step ahead of the soldier and shouted regardless, "What are you doing? Do you understand? This is Madam's carriage. You are a soldier. What do you want to do? Do you still want to do it? Go and call your leader here? No, call your general. I want to see what you want to do." As soon as Lu Wushuang opened the curtain, he started talking loudly, which immediately confused the soldier. He hesitated and said, "No, I just want to ask you why there is a smell of blood in the carriage." "The smell of blood? You went out without thinking. If you want to know, go back and ask your mother. What do you know about women's little days every month?" As soon as he said this, the soldier's face suddenly turned red, and the soldiers around him who were treating him seriously suddenly laughed. "Then who are you?" The little soldier was too shy to look at her. Of course I am Madam's maid, Ruhua." A certain woman puffed up her chest proudly. The man in the carriage choked and almost coughed. After saying that, Wu Shuang hurried back to the carriage, urging him to leave quickly. "Even though I put on a thick layer of powder, I'm sure no one would recognize it." Returning to the carriage, the man raised his head and gave Wu Shuang a meaningful look, then lowered his head to heal his wounds. "Yes, I still expect him to be grateful. Just don't kill her. She did all this for herself. It has been 3 years and 5 days since I came to this world. After experiencing family prominence, power struggle, leaving home, I met him." A gust of wind blew open a corner of the notice on the city wall. You can clearly see that there are 2 portraits posted side by side, one of a man and one of a woman. The portraits have faded due to long-term exposure to wind and sun, but you can still vaguely see the outlines on them. You only know that the man is somewhat handsome and the woman has such a charming smile. The man's portrait reads, "The state of Qi is in danger, and the hostage of the state of Xiang escapes and assassinates the emperor. His crime is unforgivable. Hereby wanted. Anyone who takes it in, or fails to report it after knowing it, will be punished as a traitor to the party. Seize the bounty of 10,000 taels." There is only one sentence left in the portrait of the woman. The daughter of King Bingjian colluded to rebel against the party. The entire clan was massacred. The female prisoner escaped, and she was rewarded with 1,000 taels of silver for her capture. The rewards are huge. What an ironic contrast. Chapter 3. The Big Vote. Sure enough, as soon as the man left the city, he left the city lord's wife and the coachman who had been stabbed in the wilderness directly, but he was left on the carriage. There was just one thing she never understood: why he insisted on dragging her along. Is it fun? Unless he has other intentions, or if he wants to encounter an accident, he can use her as a scapegoat. She sneered in her heart. They were just using each other to see who would kill whom in the end. Wushuang was acted as a groom, and he didn't ask her if she knew it at all. He just said that when he arrived at the destination and was in a good mood, he could consider letting her go. It's not like she didn't consider defeating him or running away while he was injured, but when he gently squeezed the wine glass in his hand, it turned into powder in his hand. Wushuang thought Alexander. My bones seemed to hurt a little. Hey, handsome guy, where are you going? Wushuang asked helplessly while driving the car. Zhuananqi, he said coldly and concisely. Nanny? Name? Wushuang pouted and said, I don't want to know your name at all, okay? Castle Falls. In the past few days, as when Nanqi recovered from his injury, he would take Wushuang for a walk on the street. He would always disappear inexplicably and then suddenly appear again. Wushuang was used to it. Lu Wushuang found him walking to the alley with another person one time, so his eyes flashed and he immediately chased after him. Lu Wushuang saw the woman looking at Zhuananqi excitedly from a distance. From their mouth shapes and some words, she could tell that the woman called Zhuananqi brother, and she looked like she wanted to get close to him, but also seemed to be afraid of something. When they were talking, Zhuananqi only said a few words of kindness occasionally and asked a few questions. Wushuang paid attention to listen, but he still couldn't hear it. When Lu Wushuang turned around to look, the woman disappeared. Zhuananqi came out and gave Wushuang a look, and Wushuang quickly followed. There was no conversation along the way. After entering the inn and closing the door, Zhuananqi smiled at Wushuang and returned to his ruffian look. This smile made Wushuang shudder. What are you going to do? Lu Wushuang took a step back like a cat stung by a needle, staring at him nervously. Zhuananqi didn't mind her at all. He just walked to the round table and sat down, poured himself a cup of tea, took a sip, and said slowly, I want to make a big deal. Do you dare to come with me? What can I do without capital? Don't laugh at me. She walked over and sat down on the other side of the table, but her eyes were fixed on his every expression, but she was extremely nervous. Zhuananqi poured her a cup of tea and said, Don't you want to know what I want to do? When he said this, he was like a bad guy tempting children to eat sweets. Hey, I don't want to, not at all. She simply pushed the tea in her hand away. He leaned forward somewhat gracefully, just in time to reach Wushuang's ear, blew a breath of hot air, and said slowly, Oh, but I want to tell you, what should I do? Lu Wushuang really had the urge to die, but she still maintained her previous sitting position, calmed down and replied, Why can't we just end our relationship like this? Is this really good? Can we still have fun together? Then what business do you want to do? She was still looking forward to what she said, hoping that he was really doing serious business. Business? I'm going to kill someone. How dare you? That shaky look on his face made people want to kill him. Chapter 4, riding on a tiger but unable to dismount. Lu Wushuang swallowed her saliva and was trying to describe her current scene. The person I want to kill is a cold-blooded guy. He locked me up and tortured me all the time. Now that I have escaped, I have to repay him no matter what. It's so erotic. But at this moment, his face was full of blood, and his smile felt dazzling. A certain woman didn't realize that she was still filling her brain with the plot. Will there be any scenes inappropriate for children? Ahem, I have thought too much. Now I should think about how to leave this guy. You don't know that a person like him will not leave Qi State. You don't know why he went crazy this time to come here. So, I have to do my best as a landlord, right? When Nanchi said this, although he was smiling, Wu Shuang felt that his expression was solemn and extremely dangerous. What makes Wu Shuang nervous is that through understanding this man along the way, he is definitely not a simple person, and the people he killed must not be simple either. He has committed some evil. Wu Shuang held his forehead and sighed, but in his heart he cursed his 8 generations of ancestors. This person is not easy to get close to, so I need your help. What do you think? Zuan Nanshi raised his head again, with a few words clearly written in his eyes. If you want to die, just say no. Wu Shuang began to regret why she had gone out with him in the first place. What a mistake that will lead to eternal regret. She sat like a pincushion, trying her best to smile, her voice trembling. Yes, what can I help you with? I heard that he is here to find a woman. I want you to pretend to be that woman. Wu Shuang was really stunned for a few seconds. Woman, what he means is that he knows her identity. Do you know that she is actually the Wu Shuang princess of Qi? She puffed up her chest and said sternly, Do you think I can act? I will definitely screw you up. He smiled and said slyly, Actually, the first time I saw you, I knew you would definitely be suitable. Your performance as Ruhua looks very similar, don't you know? Damn it, she reacted for a while and then became furious. Your sister, you are the one. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, then I'll pretend to be a woman. Zuan Nanchi looked calm, but at the end he still added willfully, If you choose to kill him. Have to. It makes no difference whether he said this or not. She goes to kill people. She has never even killed a chicken. You ask her to kill people? Wu Shuang struggled desperately. Why choose me? I think you are brave and can be entrusted with important tasks. I'm timid. I'm afraid of ruining your plan. Lu Wuxuang continued to try to persuade. Zuan Nanchi lowered his head and thought for a while. Just when Wuxuang thought he had been persuaded by her, Zuan Nanchi suddenly raised his head and said, I know it's embarrassing for you to pretend to be that woman. You are actually more like a man. You are more like a man. Your whole family is not human. After Lu Wuxuang said this, he saw the man opposite him. His face was a little ugly, as if he had recalled something, and his expression of disgust and pain flashed across his face. I am originally a man, and I am the only one left in my family, so to be precise, none of them are human now, because they have all turned into ghosts. Lu Wuxuang was a little embarrassed and wanted to apologize, but he was still a little angry. He lowered his head, said nothing, looked at his feet, and drew circles. Zuan Nanchi felt a little soft in his heart when he saw her pouting, and even he didn't realize that what he said was a little gentle. Otherwise, after this is successful, I will let you go free. 5. Chapter 5 Beauty is like a flower in the clouds. The words were undoubtedly a ray of hope, and Wu Shuang suddenly saw the light. She smiled and nodded, but the face of the man opposite him turned dark. Lu Wuxuang thought about it and realized that Zuan Nanchi's words had 2 meanings. One was a deal in conversation with her. The other was a reminder to her that she was still his. He can take her out of the country, and he also has the ability to send her back. Wuxuang thought for a while, bit her lip, looked at the tea leaves in the cup, and thought. It would be okay to have her dress up as a woman, but she would be afraid that the man would kill her if he found out she was Zuan Nanchi's, or it would be bad if she was associated with the wanted portraits on the city wall. Furthermore, Luocheng is so close to the Qi border, and even though there are no wanted posters everywhere, there is still no risk of being recognized. The most important point is, can what he says be believed? This person is difficult to fathom, and she has not yet seen him clearly. Okay. After struggling in his mind, he finally nodded vigorously. I will do it. But remember, if you succeed, you will give me 1,000 taels of gold. It won't be difficult, right? Zuan Nanchi raised his eyebrows, smiled, and nodded. Say, okay. Can any businessman tell someone 1,000 taels of gold without frowning? Or maybe he has a bigger plan. It's terrible this time. Wushuang took a bath, put on the women's clothes Swen Nanchi gave her, and played with rouge and gouache. For a while, she found it very novel and played with it several times, but she has not forgotten it. She sat in front of the mirror, dazed for a moment. How long has it been since she last saw herself? Once upon a time, she was also a beauty of a country, the national goddess in the minds of many people. Ahem, even though she named it herself. Her beauty at that time was indeed like a flower bud that had been blooming for a while, and at least that excellent man was attracted by it. Although the ending was cruel, she still remembered that figure. It's been half a year. She didn't dare look in the mirror at all. She didn't even dare to wash the mud off her face. Now, she has forgotten the original color and only remembers the love and death that night, like a bloody drama. Swen Nanchi sat outside and waited. Lu Wushuang waited for a long time before walking out with her skirt in hand. After bathing, her body exuded a faint fragrance, like a fragrant grass, quietly filling the air. A light layer of powder was applied to the face that was originally covered by mud. The skin was as white as snow, the eyebrows were like distant mountains, the lips were like peach, the eyes were like stars, the appearance was like a peony, the smile was full of charm, and it was full of charm. A word jumped into Swen Nanchi's heart: allure. The femininity and toughness of a woman are perfectly blended in her body. The lights in the room illuminated her entire body, making her feel dazzling and unreal. Swen Nanchi couldn't help but narrowed his eyes. The bright red gauze skirt seemed to melt in the candlelight, gradually becoming transparent and turning into a pile of fire. Together with her shy and dissatisfied expression, it made people feel itchy. Until many years later, Swen Nanchi still remembered the scene at that time. That woman always appeared boldly in your life, and then left quietly, but he was helpless. If he could catch her at that time and never let go, wouldn't he sleep alone day and night later? At that moment, Swen Nanchi forgot to breathe. So every time he took a breath, he felt the piercing heartache she gave him. Beauty is like a flower in the clouds, and the lovesickness is the most unforgettable. 6. Chapter 6, A Woman's Voice in the Middle of the Night. Wushuang coughed and pulled Swen Nanchi's wandering soul back. He touched his nose awkwardly and smiled. Not bad. It's your clothes and rouge that are better. Wushuang pulled up the skirt on her body, feeling a little uncomfortable, and asked Swen Nanchi, "Are you sure I can do it?" Swen Nanchi said firmly, "No one can do it except you, except." Except what? Oh, nothing. Except for the woman that person is really looking for, but how is this possible? Who can really find the needle in the haystack? He smiled self-deprecatingly. I didn't expect you to be quite beautiful. Swen Nanchi was not new to the world. He had seen so many beauties. One embarrassment was enough, and he immediately returned to the shrewd businessman he was before. But his praise was sincere. Her beauty was first shocking, and then it had a long-lasting flavor, like a fine wine, which only gets fragrant over time. From the second day on, Wushuang and Swen Nanchi appeared in various occasions as a pair, just like a bunch of best lovers. Secretly, the two admired each other. He really can act. There is still one day left before that person comes, and they will have to implement their plan tomorrow. At night, Wushuang slept in bed, always feeling a little uneasy. She thought about the man who ruined her family. She had also fantasized about Yaya, thinking that she would fight him back in the future and make him cry with regret. However, the reality made her feel so powerless. Here, she was a woman without rights, money, or status. What could she rely on? Mom? Do you want to be a vine attached to a man and wait for him to be in a good mood to avenge her? Stop being funny. She doesn't want to be like that. Besides, people in this world are not fools. That person's status is so noble. How long does it take revenge? Thinking of this, Wushuang became a little irritable and turned over, preparing to change his position to sleep. As a result, I saw a person standing next to the bed. If you look closely, it's a woman. The woman remained silent and just stared at Wushuang. Wushuang had a creepy feeling. If the moonlight hadn't been too bright and illuminated her shadow, she would have yelled, "There's a ghost!" Who are you?" Wushuang said to the woman standing aside. Looking up at her, she turned out to be the woman who was talking to Zhuan in the alley. The woman looked weak and charming in the moonlight, and she looked very beautiful. She still didn't speak, but stared straight at Wushuang as if to see how beautiful Wushuang was. Wushuang was a little disgusted and asked loudly, "What's the matter with you? If nothing happens, I'm going to sleep." Wushuang knew that this woman must have martial arts skills, but if he wanted to take action in front of her, Wushuang would have already done it with her. Besides, Zhuan also begged her, so she was confident. But the woman looked at Wushuang as if she were an object. Wushuang was completely dumbfounded. Damn, she's still making people sleepy at such a late hour. She comes here at night, doesn't say a word, and looks at her like this. "What do you want?" Before Wushuang could speak, she suddenly said, "You leave, Nanqi." "OMG, what's going on?" Wushuang looked at her, but she didn't look at Wushuang. She only looked at herself and said, "Brother, he can't like a woman like you. You must be a woman from a good family. Although my brother has been living that kind of life before, it must be very difficult. Now he will inevitably be tempted when he meets a beautiful girl, but he is not what you can expect." Before Wushuang could answer, she was talking to herself as if she was doing Wushuang a favor. "Hey," Wushuang felt like 3 black lines appeared on his head. "What's happening?